Hello there, everyone. I'm Gaylen Morse, and welcome to Journey to Recovery. We appreciate your listening. Today we're talking about developing frustration tolerance. People with co-occurring mental health and substance abuse problems are not always the most patient people. In today's episode, we'll discuss specific strategies to become less reactive, learn how to let things go more easily, and be less frustrated in our recovery journey. Our host is Dr. Hal Baumchen, a licensed clinical psychologist and licensed alcohol and drug counselor. He's an author, speaker, and clinician with over 30 years of counseling experience. I'm here today with Tim Bode, Operations Director at Northland Counseling Services, and with Dr. Hal Baumchen, our host at Journey to Recovery.
Hey, Gaylen, how you doing?
Very well, Dr. Hal.
Thanks for the introduction.
You're welcome. How you doing, Tim?
Good, I'm doing good.
We're talking about frustration and house projects. Those can be frustrating.
They can be.
Yeah. Things don't always go the way we want them to go.
Right. Sometimes people get frustrated and then get irritated, upset, right?
Sure, yeah. And today we're talking about how do you develop frustration tolerance because of, people get irritated and frustrated and things don't go our way.
Right. And I'm sure that's true not only just for normal people, but also people who have a substance use problem.
Yeah, or mental health problems, right. And they're going to have some trouble, in the treatment center or on the street or on the job, in the store, at the bar, in the taxi cab. There's a million ways that you can become irritated and frustrated and upset. So today we're going to try to talk about how do you manage that mood, watch your own attitude, control yourself better.
Is there one specific cause for being a little more easily frustrated and upset?
I want to say stupid people, but I'm going to refrain from saying that, Gaylen.
I'll agree with you.
No, there's no one source of all frustration. I think just so many things can irritate us and upset us. There are some common thoughts and attitudes that maybe go along with frustration.
Right. I think we talked about some of those in our last podcast, but probably good to review some of them again. So thoughts like, this is so unfair.
Sure.
I'm not responsible. It's their fault.
That's a big one with all of this anger and irritability, is to blame someone else for things going wrong. If only these drivers wouldn't have been on the road, or if only the technician who came in to fix the equipment would have done his job. So we want to blame our frustration. And that's going to be key here. We're going to talk more about this, but I want to blame my frustration. I don't want to take responsibility for that. I want to blame someone for that.
Mm-hmm. Another one is that the feeling that I was singled out and treated differently than anyone else.
Sure. Or this is boring. This is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The world owes me happiness and contentment.
Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, I do. I think that's a true statement.
For some people, they have this, I can't stand this attitude. They have I can't stand it-itis.
Yeah.
Right.
I just can't take another. These kids just drive me nuts. I can't stand this anymore. I just can't take it. It was the worst possible day. The kids were absolutely uncontrollable. This is the worst day of my life. I can't stand it anymore.
Hmm.
I cannot stand slow service, stupidity, I guess we already went there,
yeah,
or rude treatment.
Right. I don't deserve that, and we talked about that. I'm not getting what I want.
Or the driver who says there should be a separate traffic lane for idiots.
Right. I have said that.
I can't stand to be treated this way.
Yeah. Again, where do you feel like, do you not know who you're dealing with here? Or everybody deserves better treatment than this.
Yeah. Now, low frustration tolerance creates problems.
Right. Right. Can you imagine what some of those are? We talked last episode about being overreactive. Mm-hmm. And everyone goes through frustrating situations. People with low frustration tolerance often overreact and kind of catastrophize those inconveniences and frustrations and those setbacks.
Yeah.
Situations that are difficult are seen as not just difficult, they're dreadful, they're unbearable, they're horrendous.
That's a good point. That language is often over the top. The way they experience it is overreactive and over the top. And then the language that they use to communicate is often, just like you said, those superlative words like horrendous and
How do most people manage their frustration?
not well. Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah.
Many people use some short-term methods to try and reduce or avoid the pain they're feeling. Things like alcohol or drugs, overeating in some cases, or shopping, shopaholics.
Gambling, sex, all designed to comfort, bring comfort, or distract you from those things that frustrate you.
And nowadays, I think even social media falls into that category.
I like it. Yeah. Get on your phone or call somebody or play a video game or text somebody.
Yeah.
Or see what your friends are doing on
Facebook.
Facebook?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And low frustration is a key factor in the development of addictions because we want to escape those frustrating pains of life, and you can use a substance to do it.
Yeah. What about grumbling and complaining? How does that fit in?
Low frustration tolerance often leads distress over minor situations and circumstances, and that comes across as whining, grumbling, complaining about those inconveniences. And people start looking negative. It seems as though they're like looking for something to go wrong and then complain about it when it does. Many people become overly concerned and highly reactive because of the unfairnesses that have occurred.
And then they compare themselves to others.
And that comparison can lead to trouble too.
Yeah, I've heard from many people that comparison of your situation to other people's situation will almost always increase your frustration.
Right. And we don't compare ourselves really with somebody who's struggling. We compare our struggling life with somebody who's really got it going on, and they look good, and their kids look good, and they drive a nice car or something. And so then we compare ourselves negatively to that person.
Yeah.
And that just increases being frustrated or upset or feeling life is unfair.
And in some cases, leads to becoming angry, aggressive, even hostile, right?
Absolutely.
And then you justify those actions in your mind because someone did something that you didn't like or failed to give you what you wanted.
That being justified is a big thing. That I know I'm getting upset and I know I'm angry, but I'm justified in getting angry and yelling at you and screaming and swearing and calling you names because of what you did. Back to that blaming thing.
Yep.
So I'm going to blame you and justify my own bad reactions to that. You might see this going on in a restaurant where somebody, their service is actually slow. And then they get their plate brought out and it's cold. Or they didn't get their steak done the way that they wanted. And that customer then becomes unglued and maybe rude to the wait staff, upset, irritated, frustrated, having a lot of angst and a lot of irritability, and then kind of feels so justified in rude treatment of the wait staff or not leaving a tip or being upset. And of course I'm mad because of the way I was treated. So you see the bad reactions in a restaurant, but you can see that everywhere.
Right, and they feel justified because there were some real problems, right?
Genuine slight there.
Yes, and then they feel like they're entitled to be rude and disrespectful and immature.
Right. Low frustration tolerance is closely linked to low discomfort tolerance. So if I want things to go my way, when things don't go my way, I'm uncomfortable with that. And then when I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to launch. I'm going to have one of those severe reactions you were talking about earlier.
It's kind of like we've all heard of circular reasoning. Well, this is like circular unreasoning. Frustration is uncomfortable. Discomfort is frustrating.
Right.
It just kind of is a snowball going down a hill.
Right. Yep. And where does it end up? It ends up with a lot of bad reactions, blaming other people, being upset.
Yeah, is that something that we learn from other people?
Well, I think I've told this story before, but when my daughter Sarah was about 10 or 12 months old, she could walk and talk, had a few mumble words, wanted a cookie. And cookies were on the counter and she couldn't reach it because she was just a toddler, about 12 months old. But she had a mumbly word for cookie and she wanted one. And we told her you couldn't have a cookie now because we're going to have dinner soon. And you need to eat some chicken and some vegetables. And if you have a cookie now, it'll spoil your appetite. And you need a lot of nutrients. And so the chicken has more nutrients than a cookie. No 12-month-old cares about any of that. So she demonstrated her frustration by stomping her foot on the floor one time, just like my wife does. And so we look at each other like, you're training our kid. But the truth is, I think we do pick up some from our family and friends and peers around us and teachers and other important people in our lives. We pick up how to experience or how to demonstrate, how to express frustration. So maybe you learned how to be frustrated from your people. You learned how to not be frustrated from your people. And I learned how to be frustrated from mine. Maybe there's some truth to that.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think we can actually see somebody who overreacts to a frustrating situation and think, I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not going to be like my dad or whatever it is.
Even worse is sometimes you see them do that and get what they want.
Yeah.
Then that's a bad learning experience.
That rewards that, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So, hey, I'm getting a little bit of what I wanted by overreacting. I'm going to try that again. Next time it doesn't work, but it worked enough last time maybe to try it again a third time, and then I get a little bit of what I wanted, and here we go. Now we got a pattern emerging.
So we said we were going to talk about developing frustration tolerance.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How do we do that?
Yeah, I think there's some language things that actually help. So the way you think and the way you speak can actually set us up to tolerate frustration better. So I wanted to go through a few of those ways of talking about things that'll actually help you control yourself better. Get us started here. You got one, Tim?
How about just the thought that I can tolerate frustration?
Yeah, I can get through this,
Yes.
and it's not that big of a deal. Even thinking like, I don't know, it's not frustrating or it's not that big of a deal, I think can help some.
Mm-hmm. Or I don't like it, but I can handle it now.
I'll get through this.
Right.
Yeah.
Reframing it, right?
Yeah, it's a cognitive strategy.
Yeah.
From a big deal and down to a little deal is just a way to reframe it cognitively. Yeah.
Right.
How about thinking I'm getting a little stronger?
Right. So I can make it through this.
Yep. Another one I think that people can use is just to say, I can overlook an offense.
Yeah. Yeah. I've told you about my plaque. You know, I can let it go, overlook it.
Right. Yep.
This may not be my preference, but it's not dangerous. I can tolerate it.
Right. I don't prefer it, but I can get through it.
Yep. Or things don't always go my way.
They should.
But they don't. Yes. And, I'm learning how to handle difficulties.
Again, saying it this way because we're always moving in the direction of the way we think about things and the way we speak about them. So if you think more positively, I can get through it, I'm making progress, I can handle this is not distressing or dangerous, I can do it. If you think and say that, it's so much better than I'm overwhelmed, I can't take this, I'm sick of this, I can't stand it-itis. All of those kinds of things kind of bring us down. Speaking the way that you guys are talking about is going to pull you back up, give you confidence, and make you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
How about people make mistakes and I can overlook them?
Right. Instead of expecting people to be unrealistically perfect, they're not going to be, and then you're going to be frustrated because they're not. Why don't you get your expectations in line with reality? People are going to make mistakes.
Right. Say to yourself, this is frustrating, but it's not an impossible situation.
Yeah. It's so much better than, I can't believe you did this to me again. Yeah.
How about I'm up for a challenge, or I can get through this. I will get through this.
Right. And when you think of your equipment, you're like, I'm up for a challenge. Give me a screwdriver. I'm going to beat this thing into submission.
Or this is just a triviality of everyday life.
Right. These things happen. There's
Not a big deal.
yeah, snow in Minnesota in the wintertime, mosquitoes in the summertime. It's too hot. It's too cold. We're Minnesotans. We put up with it.
How about this? Problem may be real, but being frustrated is a choice.
Right. Instead of, I am justified in my bad reaction because the problem is real. Yeah, the problem's real, but you're still not justified in having that bad reaction. Manage yourself here a little bit.
Yeah. Here's another one. Every choice to manage my distress is a choice to get stronger.
True. Yeah. Can you hear in all these that we're reading that person in your life who could hear every one of these and still say at the end of the list, but I don't want to. I don't want to get better or stronger or practice patience or overlook anything. I want to be mad. I am upset. I'm justified. I love being mad. And y'all are going to hear about it.
Yep.
So we all have somebody like that, I think, in our life. But again, if you're thinking through this with us today, we just challenge you, change up your life. You can rebuild a little bit and get stronger.
How about one time I had I guess it's a legal relative that would just fly off the handle and get angry. And one time that happened, and I was all set to correct the situation, if you know what I mean. And I thought, I wonder if she gets as mad at me as I am right now at her.
Yeah.
And that permanently changed my thinking.
Right. Yeah, that's nice. So I can manage my mood, my attitude, my disposition. I can't manage her, but I'm not going to worry so much about that. So I could overreact to her overreaction, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to manage my own reaction, even though I could say, she's way overreacting.
Yeah. Right. Dr. Hal, you talk a lot about character, so I think you can say, I'm letting my character determine my actions and not my frustration.
Right. Yeah. Again, the old days, maybe somebody would say, I just would respond out of the bad situation, but now I'm responding out of my changed character.
Mm-hmm. When I tolerate, overcome, and endure some of these things, these frustrations, I get stronger each time I do it. I may have the same problem, but now I have a new perspective.
That's nice, yeah. So you changed you instead of changing the situation or the circumstance. That's exactly what we're looking for.
And like many things in life, in order to perfect something, we have to practice it. So it's also true here. In order to increase our frustration tolerance, we may want to practice it.
Well, I hate that, and it's frustrating.
But true.
You talked about this a little bit in our previous podcast about some ways to practice frustration tolerance, but maybe we should go through some of those again.
Yeah.
Like driving in the slow lane.
Sure.
In order to practice tolerating that.
Right, or getting in a longer line in the grocery store and just letting somebody go in front of you. Maybe, just doing favors to people, even though it would inconvenience you or slow you down. But all of those kinds of things help you maybe maintain your own disposition, where the goal has shifted from trying to get ahead and go fast to trying to help somebody or be kind, patient, and understanding. So I'm watching my character rather than trying to beat somebody or get ahead of somebody or get my way or blame somebody for my own bad mood. So take responsibility for yourself and then, change yourself and practice those things like you said. Go ahead, inconvenience yourself. And when you do, again, like Gaylen had mentioned earlier, you get a little bit stronger. Mm-hmm. So that's a good strategy. We just want to remind people that you can get some resources on Journey to Recovery. We've got a number of things. We've got workbooks and lessons. We've got other podcasts, and I write a blog every week. So we invite you. And if you like our stuff, give us a like and join us next time.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to today's podcast entitled Developing Frustration Tolerance. You can download other materials, as Dr. Hal said. They'll help you develop skills to identify emotional problems, reduce symptoms, and prevent relapse at journeytorecovery.com. We've been visiting with Dr. Hal Baumchen, a licensed clinical psychologist and licensed alcohol and drug counselor. His expertise and clinical wisdom is now available at journeytorecovery.com. Share this resource with your peers and your colleagues. I'm Gaylen Morse. Thanks for listening to today's program. See you next time on Journey to Recovery. Remember, recovery is a journey. Enjoy the ride.